to our corporate presentation, and the subject is bacteria versus bacteriophages, how to overcome the constant challenges. And for this, I would like to call on stage Mr. Ammar Babar, Application Manager from CHR Hansen. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Ammar Babar?
Hello everyone. I would like to introduce myself. So I'm representing CHR Hansen. We are a leading bioscience company. We supply good bacteria to dairy manufacturers to make fermented products like dahi, lassi, buttermilk, etc. So I'm also a dairy technologist by background, and I have experience in Denmark where I pursued my master's. Then I started working for Arla in their largest cheese manufacturing plant. Then I moved on to CHR Hansen. I've been there for 5 years, and basically our motto is that we grow a better world naturally. So just like I said, I will be taking you to the world of good bacteria in the first half, and then in the second half we will discuss about the challenges that the dairy manufacturers face constantly and how using the new digital tools we can tackle them. So just like I said, we are a leading global bioscience company, and we believe that nature is our greatest scientist of all time. And using the nature, we have developed a bank of 50,000 microbial strains. We refer them as good bacteria. And these good bacteria go in multiple industry, ranging from food industry, dairy industry, pharmaceutical, and also food ingredients. So our journey actually started in 1874, where a Danish chemist, Mr. Christian Hansen, he started supplying innovative ingredients to the dairy industry. First started with our rennet enzyme, which normally cheese manufacturers use to coagulate their cheese. Fast forward to today, more than 1 billion people consume products with our ingredients in them. We also see that every second yogurt and cheese in the world is made with our ingredients in them. And we have a global presence in around 30 countries. And basically, because our natural solutions contribute positively to United Nations Sustainability Development Goal, we have been awarded as the world leader in sustainability by Corporate Knights. So this bacteria basically helps in the fermentation process. Even in our Indian houses, we have a lot of fermentation process. We have products like idli, we consume products like dahi, lassi, buttermilk. So this good bacteria helps in the fermentation process. So we have applications in fermented milk, cheese. Also, it can be used in applications of meat. So there are a lot of products like sausages, which involves fermentation process. And at the same time, plant-based and fermented beverages. Some of you must have heard about kombucha-like product, which is also a fermented beverage. And it has good beneficial in terms of probiotics. So we are actually surrounded with a lot of rich fermented products in India. And the good bacteria from CHR Hansen can help the manufacturers to produce good quality products with acceptable sensory properties. So customer centricity is basically the heart of CHR Hansen. We work closely together with dairy manufacturers to innovate new products. We also work closely with them to improve their plant productivity, and we also work closely in helping the manufacturers in troubleshooting. So talking about troubleshooting, I would like to highlight one of the key challenges that dairy manufacturers normally face. So that's the title of today's presentation, Bacteria versus Bacteriophage. So just one question to everyone. By the show of hands, how many of you know what bacteriophages are? I'm sure some of the dairy manufacturers might know. I can see few hands already. So for the rest of you, you will learn something new, and this challenge is mainly for the dairy manufacturers, but I'll also show you how this challenge can also impact the dairy brands. It can impact the product quality and so on. So a lot of great things are invented in India. Bacteriophage is also one of them. So there was a British scientist in 1896, Mr. Ernst. He discovered that there is some properties in waters of Ganga and Jamuna, that there is some antibacterial property in the waters, that it is killing the cholera bacteria. So during that time, the cholera pandemic was quite prevalent in India, and he was doing a lot of research. He found out that when we add this water of Ganga into this cholera-infected water, then there was some property in that water which was killing the cholera bacteria. Later on, after advancement in microbiology and research, we found out that these are nothing but bacteriophages. So they are basically viruses that impacts the bacteria, and nothing to be afraid of, because they only impact the bacteria, and in terms of plants, animals and humans, they are harmless. So that's why the name bacteriophages. So they are the virus that attacks the bacteria. And especially when a dairy manufacturer, when it is making products like dahi, lassi and buttermilk, they are doing controlled fermentation. They are doing fermentation with bacteria. So a bacteriophage attack becomes a challenge for a dairy producers. So a lot of production people will be aware that their productions are getting delayed because of this issue. And once this virus comes into the dairy plant, either through air, soil, or raw materials like milk, it can stay in the plant for up to 15 years. And once it is in the dairy plant, we will see how difficult it is to manage them. So normally when a dairy producer will be making a product like dahi, then we are adding good starter cultures, good bacteria that will promote good health when we consume a fermented product. So this bacteriophage will attach to the cell wall of the bacteria. It will inject its DNA, and eventually it will grow and multiply and kill the bacteria and will release into the system. So if we have a timer of 30 minutes, in the same 30 minutes, bacteria doubles in population, but in the same amount of time, this bacteriophages becomes 100. So their growth is very exponential, and it becomes a challenge when their amounts are very high, because it will kill your good bacteria and your fermentation will be delayed. So this can be true for any kind of fermentation, be it in cheese, products like kombucha, and so on. So this virus attack or the phage attack basically mostly affects the acidification time, texture, and the quality of fermented products and cheese. So in the graphs, you can see that in the first one, when we are doing fermentation, it's basically a race between the bacteria, the good bacteria, and the virus. So in the first case, if we give the right conditions to the bacteria, they are able to produce the products with the right attributes, in the right time, and in the right quality. And as soon as the levels of this viruses or the bacteriophage is increasing, you will see major deviation in the product quality and also in the fermentation time. So why phage management is important? So most of us would, especially in the dairy production, would believe that my fermentation time from 4 hours would go on to 8 hours, it will increase. Yes, that's one of the biggest challenge that will result in increasing cost of production and so on. But at the same time, it also affects the product quality. It affects the brand, because nowadays consumers are digital savvy. If they see a product with a bad texture, they take a picture, they circulate it on WhatsApp, different social media. So the brand image is also impacted. So we have a case study that prevention of this phage attack is always cheaper than the cure. So this particular dairy is producing around 20,000 tons of dahi on a daily basis. And if we see that they are experiencing mild phage attack, and only 2% of the batches are impacted because of this virus attack. So if we do some detailed calculations, they are losing around 8 crores of money annually because of this. And there was a research which stated that if a dairy is losing 100 rupees, 10 rupees is because of bacteriophage attack. So even though these are viruses, they are very small, but they can create a big financial loss, a lot of challenges in the production, and also impacts the brand and the quality of the dairy manufacturer. So how do we manage, or how a dairy producers tackle these challenges? So there are basically 5 main pillars of phage management. So just like in the COVID situation, we were basically doing social distancing, we were wearing masks, we were doing sanitation, and we were taking vaccines. Similarly, to mitigate the risk of viruses in the dairy plant, we need to do all these 5 things together. And in the previous session, we also talked about a lot of digital solution that can help the dairy manufacturers to improve with real-time data. We are also proposing a similar solution. So obviously your good manufacturing practices, raw material treatment will help. Cleaning and disinfection and culture rotation is something is very important into mitigating this risk. But monitoring, which we also discussed extensively in the last panel discussion, that how the dairy manufacturers can monitor using digital solutions to sort of tackle their daily problems and to see deviations in their production and take preventive actions as compared to proactive. So basically, Christian Hansen, being a customer-centric company, we help the dairy manufacturers to take the proactive approach, where we do a lot of proactive audits to find out where are the gaps and where the dairy manufacturers can improve their fermentation process. You must have heard that fermentation is an art. So especially when we are doing any fermentation products, there are a lot of challenges that a producers faces, and that we try to address with these audits. Similarly, culture rotation is very important, and we make tailor-made recommendations for the dairy plant to tackle these phage attack challenges. And similarly, we have a digital tool, it's called Phage Watch, which helps the dairy manufacturer to systematically monitor the phage pressure in their system, and it is an easy way of testing and addressing their phage pressure issue in their plant. So this is our Phage Watch system, and this is the digital tool and service that we provide to the dairy manufacturers, especially when they're doing fermented products and cheese. You can see there, they will be getting a clear dashboard, which will help them to do advanced data analysis by using the power of Microsoft Power BI. They'll be able to analyze in which season they are getting more phage pressure in their dairy, which particular culture is more prone to the virus attack in their dairy, and so on. So they will be able to use this digital tool to be more proactive and basically analyze the data plant-wise, because every plant is unique, and using the digital system, we will be able to take better and more proactive actions to mitigate the risks. So to support our customers, we are also planning a phage conclave, which is coming soon. We are planning this activity across India, and the dairy manufacturers, especially the production team, the quality team, will be involved, and we will present them what are the challenges they can face, how to mitigate the risk, how to use our digital tool to sort of monitor and keep the phage pressure under control in their dairies. So in the ending quarter of this year, we will be doing a phage conclave tour across India, basically training the dairies, informing them, and how to support them in the best way to use our digital systems to maintain or to reduce the risk in their dairy plants, and eventually improve their brand, improve the quality, and reduce the risks. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ammar Babar. And with this, to facilitate Mr. Ammar Babar, I would like to call on stage Dr. Vikas Ghosh. Please come on the stage. Emeritus Profession, Dairy Technology, NDRI.